Good morning, you guys, and welcome. Welcome to the Good News Sunday Show. My name is Sonia McCullough Lockridge, and I am your host. And I joy to come to you in this fashion. And what we are doing right now is what I have titled 31 Days of the Art of Engaging the Word Exegetically in an Expository Fashion. In an everyday expository fashion. That is what we are doing for the month of October. In the month of September and August, we read through the entirety of the book of Jeremiah. And so right now, in preparation for writing that Bible study, what we are doing is we are leaning in and learning how to craft a message exegetically and in an expository fashion. So that is what we were doing. And yesterday we talked about, I have a cold, and so this is day 3, and we had an introduction, and then yesterday was day 2, and today is day 3, and today we are talking about terminology as it relates to writing, crafting a message in exegetical message in an expository fashion. So we are writing about crafting a message, be it written or otherwise spoken. That is what we are working on currently. And so I have a list of words for us today that we will need to know. They do not mean what we think they mean. So I once worked a job, and I once worked at a company called Service Merchandise. It was a huge diamond company. And one of the things I did was I took care of their diamonds in New York City, and I took care of the electronic transfer of invoices and purchase orders for diamonds in New York City. And so I had to know that the terms that related to diamonds were not the everyday terms that I was using or that we were using. So I had to learn a whole bank of terms in order to work with those diamond brokers. So what I wanted us to do today was just to hear the words so we will know that these words may not mean in this particular setting what we think they mean. Okay? So I'm just going to read off the words so we will know going forward as we move forward and we learn more about this craft, this art, so that when we hear these words pop up, we won't think that they mean what we normally think they mean. Okay? So, here we are. It's a list of about 48 words. So, logos, ethos, pathos, text, content, application, narration, concordance, diagramming, paraphrase, exegetical, restatement, homiletical, principle, outline, arrangement, purpose, conclusion, introduction, transition, interpretation, mechanical layout, theology, commentaries, illuminate, idea, context, genre, complement, aim, style, syntax, structure, lexicon, subject, illustrate, substance, expository, expound, exposure, expose, explain, explanation, elements, exercise, exposition, exegesis, eisegesis, hermeneutics. So, those are just a few words that we're going to start with today. So we know when we hear those words as we move forward that those words may or may not mean what we think they mean in this particular setting. So, for example, the word illustrate or illustration here does not mean that we're actually going to draw a picture. Okay? It does not mean that we are going to actually illustrate something. What it means is we are going to craft a set of sentences or an idea that is an illustration for someone to be able to relate to in a better fashion. So as we move forward designing and writing our message, we will design, write an illustration or use an illustration from our own life as an example for the message that we're crafting. Okay, so that is one word that is used, in multiple fashions. So illustrate is one word that we can use as an example today, and logos is another word. Logos looks very similar to the word logo, so it's not like logos, it's logos. Excuse me. Let me take a little sip of tea. So although it looks like logos, it's actually logos. And it has a completely different meaning in this particular setting. Okay? The word application. This is not an application that we're going to fill out for a job. Okay? This too means something completely different in this setting. These words have multiple meanings. And I have a really good understanding about how words with multiple meanings can affect some individuals. It is actually a form of a disability. Some people cannot detect words with multiple meanings. Their brains can only house a particular meaning at a particular time, and so they would need to learn the alternative meaning in a different time space, okay? And that is for a form of a disability, okay? Which, one of my children has this particular disability, so I know a great amount about it. Of course, my children are adults now, but during their learning years, during their school years, this multiple word, what was it called? Anyway, this child had a particular trouble with understanding words that had dual meanings. Okay, so, and another word here is principal. Okay, so in this setting, principal does not mean principal. Okay, so when we hear this word, we're not talking about the head of a school or a business. This word principal means something completely different. And okay, those are some really good examples from this list that means something completely different other than what we would think it means. Okay, so our keywords for today are exegesis and eisegesis. Exegesis and eisegesis. And maybe I could take the definition straight from one of these books that we looked at yesterday when we talked about who is teaching the entities that are teaching this particular subject matter. Let me see if I see it here in this particular book so I could just read it from the definition. Okay, I don't see it there right offhand. We are going to address a couple of these vocabulary words, these definitions each day as we move forward. And at the end of this 31-day period, we will have covered a bank of words, and we will have a bank of words in regards to this subject matter. So, exegesis means to draw out from the thing in which we're talking about. And the thing that we're talking about right now is the Word of God, the Holy Word of God. So exegesis means to draw out from the Holy Word of God. Eisegesis means to draw into the Holy Word of God. What we want to do is exegesis. That is our aim, is to perform exegesis on the Holy Word of God. So, we do not want to add to, and we do not want to add into eisegesis, the Holy Word of God. So we want to draw from this well of wisdom, wealth, and knowledge. So eisegesis is drawing into, exegesis is drawing out of. So we want to do is we want to draw out of this well that the Lord has blessed us with. We want to draw out of this well that the Lord has blessed us with. Now, these two terms are not necessarily biblical, so we will not be doing the daily keyword on these terms. But we do have some other terms in which we will be performing daily keywords on. And they're in regards to the reasoning for exegesis, the reasons why we need to explain the text better. And so those words we will be doing on my Instagram page as daily keywords. And it's a whole list of them that I've never even heard of before. Most of them did not even realize they were there. In my 12 years of study of the Word of God. Well, this is 11 and a half. It'll be 12 years in 2024. So, I'm getting better. I'm not there yet, but I am getting much better. My face is not hurting as much as it was, so I'm feeling a lot better. So today, these are the terms that we need to be able to recognize quickly, that what we think they mean is not what they mean in this particular application. So that's why we are talking about them on day 3. Day 2, we talked about who is actually teaching currently this subject matter. We talked about that yesterday, and we did identify some sources, a couple of ministries, and at least one person. And we will add to that list also as we move forward, because we want to be able to learn this material in a more formal setting than, like, say, YouTube. And yeah, so we want to be able to learn that in a more formal setting. But until we can do that, what we have is our own ability to dig in and learn with each other. And that is what our aim is for this 31-day series. So this book is really good. It's really got me, and I really like it. And we're also going to have a day where we talk about building our libraries of commentaries and so on and so forth. And of course, we need to do that a little at a time, not all at once, because that would be an expense most people cannot incur. So, that is all I have for us today. A look at the terms and terminology briefly, just so we can hear them, just so we can know that these words may or may not mean what we normally think they mean. So when we get into this process, or we get into a text like this, because this is a very scholarly text. These are scholarly texts. These are not casual. This is not casual reading, okay? So when we get into a text like this, we will know before we dive in that these words do not mean what we think they mean. And so therefore, we will be able to learn quicker so we don't have to make those adjustments as we're learning. Tomorrow, we are going to talk about the task at hand. Today, we talked about the terms. And yesterday, we talked about teachers and who is teaching. And tomorrow, we are going to talk about the actual task of the thing. And these few days are more or less an overview before we start to dig in to learn about what it is we're actually doing. So, that is all I have for us today. My name is Sonia McCullough Lockridge, signing out for the Good News Sunday Show, Keyword Bible Studies, and the one and only Jesus.com. And my hope and prayer for us all today is to be greatly blessed in the Lord on this very day, in His wealth and knowledge, which is His word. So that is my hope and prayer for us today. And I thank you if you got to the end of this video, I thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, because this is a 31-day thing. We will be doing it for 31 days. And then after that, we will have some follow-up videos. We will determine a method in which we can stay on top of our learning, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much, and have a blessed day in the Lord.